What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Behind me you can see this Fatbob with a turbo on it. It's a 124 cubic inch combination, the Trask Tornado turbo kit and the Cyclerama APE CR45 cam. Today we're going to be going through the build process on this one, getting it up on the dyno, and of course going through as many details as I think is necessary throughout the video. So let's go. Right, so the first thing we're doing, we've got the engine all torn down. You can see there just under 3 thousandths of run out. So we're going to go ahead and install our Screaming Eagle Pro Billet Super Sucker cam plate and oil pump combination. We're running this guy because obviously we want to move a lot more oil around and keep enough oil supplied to the turbo, and this cam plate and oil pump does just that. So as I said, we're running the CR APE 485 and we're just getting that installed now, getting the drive sprockets on here. Just got my finger in the rear exhaust lifter there just to hold some pressure on the camshaft to stop it pushing back into the cam chest, which can be a bit of a nightmare sometimes trying to get the sprockets on. And obviously just moving the flywheel rods, well, just moving the con rods there just to line up the sprockets here for the cam locking tool. Always give these things a little bit of a run in just because it's quicker with the rattle gun, the little impact gun. And torque it up 24 foot-pounds on the drive, well, the pinion shaft sprocket, and the top one here goes to 34 foot-pounds. Right, so moving on, our pistons. So the coatings you can see here, the coating on the top of the piston is a ceramic coating which helps pull heat out of the combustion chamber and disperses it throughout the piston. And of course the oil cooling, got the S&S piston oilers in the crankshaft, in the crankcase on this one, so they help keep the pistons cool. The blue coating that you can see there is much like the Teflon coating you can see on the standard piston on the right hand side there. Just aids as a bit of a protection barrier, nothing more. But the top ceramic coating there, that guy is going to help pull some heat out of the chamber, and you know, as I said, we'll transfer it through the piston and we'll cool it with the oil underneath. We're running about 10.6 to 1 compression ratio of this thing, so these pistons do, if you set this thing up straight out of the gate, it will end up at around 11 to 1, but we're running a 14 thousandths base gasket with a 50 thousandths head gasket on this one. So, and that brings us in, you know, with our chamber volume, that brings us in about 10.66 to 1. So perfect for what we're trying to achieve with this turbo application. What I'm doing here, guys, just obviously, as you can see there, just getting the ring compressor on the pistons. I did all this in one shot just so I can show you guys, you know, just how often I do this. I can pretty much get these things on first go every time. So bit of a big, might be a longer shot here, but you'll see just getting these things on. It does look like there's a bit of resistance on the cylinder when I'm tapping it down there, but what I'm actually doing is lightly tapping the top of the cylinder just to put it into the spigot, well, inside the cases, because I don't want to damage the spigot or the liner. If you just happen to push it down too fast, I don't want to risk cracking it or anything like that. So yeah, that's all I'm doing there. And just rotating the wheel over there just to push that front piston back up, just so I can get the maximum amount of room underneath it. So when we slide the cylinder on, the ring compressor's got enough room to get out of the way. Front one's so much easier to get on. You've got a little bit more room up above just to get it all lined up nicely. But you know, when you've done a few of these, they just go straight on pretty much first time, every time. Right, guys, we're just going to chuck the heads on real quick and torque them down before we start getting into the turbo side of it and getting that all bolted up. Right guys, so engine is all done and put back together, but like an idiot on autopilot, I went ahead and reinstalled the standard cam cover. Obviously, as you probably are aware, there is a new cam cover that comes in this Trask kit. This guy here, it has some built-in supports there. It's actually a billet piece of aluminium. Nearly said aluminum then. Anyway, it's aluminium, and yeah, get everything laid out here. So we're going to get this stuff piece by piece installed and onto this 124 cube Fatbob. So there's our new cam cover installed with the studs that help support the exhaust manifold, etc. We've got the manifold in there all bolted up, ready to go. So this thing is going to start coming together pretty quickly. There's a few slip joints on this manifold. The thing actually has a lot of movement and adjustability, so it does make it very, very easy to fit. Once everything's lined up on the flanges there, you can actually twist and move it around to get the perfect fitment. So I can't fault how this thing fits. It's really good, it's really clean, and I've never had any issues with it whatsoever. So I'm just loosening off the V-band here, placing it on the exhaust manifold. So when I set the turbo up there, we can just nip it up slightly, just enough so it's clamped, so we've still got enough movement there to just align the turbo and the exhaust system, everything all together. So just nipping it up here just enough, just to allow a bit of movement. So that's pretty much it done now, guys. I've got the exhaust there mounted up, and it's just the plenum chamber that goes on now, which is quite easy. Just bolts up here to the throttle body, just aligning everything, basically just test fitting everything just to align it all up before we do our final installation and tighten everything up. But yeah, pretty straightforward, very, very easy to fit. So that's pretty much it, guys, minus the little air filter on front of the turbo. Just got to put that on. But look how clean this kit fits. It's really, really snug to the bike. Very happy with it. So what I'm doing here, guys, now is just, obviously got no spark plugs in the bike, but we're just going to crank the engine over until we get oil coming out of that feed line there to the turbocharger, and then we're ready to fire this thing up. Rightio guys, so we're up on the dyno. We've verified everything's okay. We've heat cycled it. We've checked the oil. We've checked checked the oil level, verified any air leaks, verified any oil leaks, all that sort of stuff. We didn't have anything too drastically too concerning to worry about. Just got the tune going in here at the moment, so just touch on this quickly. We are measuring the AFRs pre-turbo, so in the exhaust manifold before the turbine compressor wheel. So because of that, there is a higher pressure in the manifold, which skews the AFR reading due to the higher pressure. So we have to compensate for that. We can also verify the difference so I've got the tuning software I'm using. I've got the external widebands in the pipe. Well, you can't see it, but they're all plugged in here. But we're verifying it there. And then we're going to also verify it with the Dyno, the Dynojet's wideband O2 sensors off the dyno. We'll put them up the exhaust, the dump pipe of the turbo, and we can see the differential there, so we can really dial it in. We are still using the stock ECU, which is fine for this street application. We just make sure that we set our AFR table up so that when we see higher manifold pressures, anything above sort of 60 kPa, in this case, we've got a lot of fuel. We're requesting a lot of fuel from the ECU. and we can dial it in with our VEs. So we're going to get started on this and see how much this 124 makes with this hairdryer on it. Rightio guys, the results in, let's go check it out. Just shy of 170 horsepower. We came in at 167 and you can see there 161 foot-pounds of torque. Now you can see up here we've had, the dyno had a little bit of a hiccup there and it's sort of showing 166 sort of thing. But out here at the very top we made 160, that's where our 167 was, just in there somewhere. But look guys, very, very happy. That's a great result as far as I'm concerned. Interestingly enough, so check it out guys, so I did this here the 26th of November, but back in June over here, I did a 117 turbo with a 485, so almost 5 months ago to the day, I did the 117 cube low rider S, and it went, you can see that 157 and 164, so virtually the same horsepower and torque, almost the same torque, but the horsepower, 10 horsepower difference there in the 117 versus the 124. So I'm just going to head back into the workshop. I'm going to talk about why I believe what's going on with the 124 versus the 117 and talk about that. So what I think is going on with the 124 here, because Trask do recommend only up to about a 120 cube, I believe, with this particular kit. It works really good as a bolt-on for a stock 117 with an upgraded camshaft, works phenomenal, yields awesome results. With this 124, what I believe is going on is obviously the turbo is just a little bit too small for the 124 because on the exhaust stroke, as the piston's rising, trying to expel all that exhaust gas, there's too much pressure in the manifold. There's too much drive pressure on the turbo, and it's just blocking it up. So the piston's fighting against some pressure. As you know, there's 4 strokes, and only one of those strokes puts power into the flywheel, like into the crankshaft. The other 3 strokes pull power out of it. So we need to maximise as much. We need to minimise as much parasitic loss as possible. But in this case, guys, as a turbocharger, turbos obviously make more torque than superchargers because the supercharger itself is pulling power out of the crankshaft. But not to get too sidetracked here, I just believe obviously the turbo is just a little bit too small for the 124. Trask do offer a upgraded race series turbo kit, which is a little bit bigger, etc. and probably more suited to more custom builds, but still, as a 124, let me just shut that compressor off. So as a 124 in this particular combo, I think it has worked really, really well. I honestly probably expected a little bit more power out of it, but then after seeing what was going on, it makes sense that that's why that would have happened. Not to mention, guys, too, we could have probably, again, went up to the bigger wastegate spring, to the 8 PSI spring. There's a 5 PSI one in there at the moment. But again, you compress the air more, you lose density. Now, I can hear my guy, Gale Banks, raving on about how this is not intercooled. He would be going mental because if you don't know Gale Banks, he does a lot of turbocharging stuff, and he talks a lot about air density. So as you know, you compress the air, it heats up, it gets less dense, so therefore you shove more boost in, trying to make more power, and you don't really make much more power because the air is getting less dense and less dense. So what Gale loves to prove is making more power on less boost with better charge air cooling or intercooling. So look, anyway guys, don't want to get too sidetracked, but this thing rides phenomenal. I've ridden it out on the road, the power delivery, there is no lag on these things whatsoever. Like, even as the 117 cube, like you roll it on, the power is there almost immediately. It is just, there's no like turbo lag, so to speak. It's just matched perfectly for those 117s, and on this big bore combo, it is on the money straight away. It is right there, and it will blaze the tyre in third gear, just rolling it on with me on it. I'm only 75 kilos. I don't know what that is in pounds or whatever, but I'm 75 kilos, and this thing will blaze the tyre third gear rolling down the road. So no clutch, just roll it on, it will peel the tyre. So it's very, very fun, and I'm sure my customer's gonna be very, very happy. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. Behind me there, we've got the 143 breakout with the SNS crank. The SNS cases, the Dark Horse crank. We've got a Screaming Eagle King 6 transmission going into it, a set of big heads from Ram's Head Service here in Australia. There's a lot of stuff going on in that build. It's coming up next, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Like this one, share it, comment, all that sort of stuff. Thanks for watching. See you next time.